DPA money that.
I'm not saying like, we're just using it to,
So, yeah.
the other thing before we begin is, we're muted, right?
No, TSD, can you hear us? I wanna make sure the owl is working.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm going to mute it until the meeting starts. Thank you.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Unmute, okay?
All right, welcome everyone to this Personnel Administration Committee meeting. Today is Monday, May the 13th, 2024 at noon in the HR Council Conference Room, and all of you joining us on Teams. Thank you for joining us. I'll call this meeting to order, and for note, let's see, Jeff McKim is here. I'm here and Marty Hawk is not. Is she joining us on Teams? I don't think she is.
No,
She said she was coming.
She said she was bringing in person, I bet that's her.
It is.
Mhm.
All right, well, we have quorum, so let's go ahead and go on. Now that we've called to order, going to item number 2 on our agenda. Do we need to hold off? All right, item number 2 is adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda found on co.monroe.in.us?
TSD, could you please switch the screen display, please? Thank you.
Hearing no changes to the agenda, all those in favor of adopting the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it.
There.
And we have our third member of PAC walking into the door. Welcome, Councilmember Hawk, to today's meeting.
Did Margaret tell you? I feel like suing the city.
Oh, we are in a live meeting.
Well, then they are notified. I'm sick of their fucking meters.
All right, we're gonna go to the Youth Services Bureau.
Well, I wanted to start with something first. Have they already done?
Yes, we've already adopted the agenda and we're already moving into our departments.
Okay, well, I have a problem with that, and I'm sorry I did make an effort to be here.
Yes.
I had contacted the council office to give us an update so that I'm not picking on one group or the other about where we are with new positions that we've added, and that any new position that would be a part of our frozen levy budgets we would consider taking that to the council to see if they want to support a new position. And so I asked her to have something ready for us. It's,
Your statement is part of today's record, so duly noted. I see Michelle is getting up to look for something. While Michelle is doing that, I'm going to pivot to the folks that are in the room and do this business, and then maybe we can come back to your item, Councilmember Hawk. So we have the Youth Services Bureau requesting creation of a new position and amending a job description. At least that's what I have on my form. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, sure. Vanessa Schmidt, Deputy Director of the Youth Services Bureau. I'm here with Sarah Jamison, who's our program coordinator and would actually be the supervisor of this newly created position. So we are here today to ask for a training and development manager. So over the last few years, we have had a large increase in the expectations of training for our staff and the ability to maintain compliance with licensure through DCS and through the Indiana State Health Department, Monroe County Health Department, and all of those that govern us. What we have realized is that is piecemealed between about 5 different staff, and keeping track of that and having someone's responsibility be centralized and focused on training is just a huge gap in our agency right now. And so there is one job description currently that is our office manager, who merely just tracks training. And so that would be the only amendment to an existing job description that we have, and everything else would fall in the newly created position of the training and development manager.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Members of PAC, do you have any comments or questions about this new training and development manager position?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, how many employees do you have right now whose training would need to be coordinated or managed by the new facility?
We have about 36 in our department currently, but we will be hiring over the summer for part-time direct here. Every full-time employee for our DCS contract have to have 20 hours of training. Part-time has to have 10. But that's not in, that doesn't include any compliance like TB, health testing, background checks, fingerprinting, DCS checks, all of these things that have to happen annually. And so having somebody who can go and be our trainer, especially in like integral trainings like our crisis de-escalation training, our Red Cross, things like that, and really work closely with our direct care staff to make sure we're serving the kids that live with us the best way we can in the Binkley House Shelter, and then also making sure all of the other administrative staff stay in compliance also. So give or take anywhere between 35 to 40 people is usually about the amount of staff we have to manage the training for.
And so what approximately, what percentage of time would you expect this person to, this position actually be training versus doing administrative, record keeping and that sort of?
Oh, that's a great question. I think in our proposed job description, it explains it a little bit better, but I would say at least 60% of their job is going to be spent either doing formal trainings or on the floor, real-time corrective actions. That's a big part of it, is to do some quality assurance and be in the shelter and managing to make sure everything from serve safe to trauma-informed care in the Binkley House is being conducted, and they're being trained appropriately so they can carry out that training on the floor.
Okay.
And the administrative tasks will be really just any sort of compliance, creation or development of new trainings, and then the tracking of it.
All yield. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments
No, I've already spoken with them.
from packet? Is it possible to pull up page 23 of the packet, or are we dealing with?
Is that the org chart?
It's the org chart. And nothing but predictable. Page 23 of 194. Thank you so much. All right, so here we see in the lower left-hand side of the screen, that new position, the training and development manager, is reporting to the program coordinator. And then Mr. McKim's question was how many people they oversee, and that's all the other squares. Do I have that correct?
They would be in charge of training and development for the entire agency.
Okay. And then the over on the right is that office manager, and that is also part of this request.
Yes, there's a small amendment to that existing job description that would become the training and development manager's duties.
Yes, please.
The presiding judge, have they moved forward with this request?
Vicky has talked with them. Formally, I'm not sure about moving forward with it, but they're aware and they support the request of the position.
Support?
Yes, ma'am.
The question.
Yes.
If they are really over.
Yes.
Anyways,
Yes, we've been in contact with them too recently about the some of the changes in just legislation and the changes in contract that are coming.
that was part of what I asked about when I was talking with Vicky, because we know there were some changes this past year
Correct.
with legislation about things that you're going to have to be on top of us. But in future, I'd like to see that you have written support.
Oh, okay, absolutely.
Excellent. Are there any further comments or questions from Monroe County staff, not members of PAC, on this request? Seeing none from employee services, none from council administrator.
No.
All right. In that case, entertain a motion on this item.
Let's see, so the next step would be forwarding to
With,
for classification, yeah, okay. I move we forward this position to list of classification.
Okay.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further conversation or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. We will have Michelle get this off to WIS and be in touch with you as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Enjoy the beautiful day. Next item on our agenda is, Martha Miller, here to talk about the request for the creation of a new position and to amend a job description. Welcome and tell us what this is all about.
Thanks. So for 20 years now, I have held the position of, I guess I started out as clerical and it's morphed into district management. And that involves managing the actual duties of the district, doing what the board is asking, administrative duties, educational outreach, and putting conservation on the ground locally through actual conservation. So for the last 3 years or so, there's been discussion back and forth about creating a position that would be locally focused, the local conservationist, who would deal with state funding and local funding when we go after grants and things to help people get conservation on the ground. With the increase in homesteading interest, local support of local growing, climate change, invasive species issues, and watershed work, as well as soil health, that workload is increasing exponentially each year, actually. So we got a grant 3 years ago from the State Soil Conservation Board to hire someone, and that person has increased that workload again. We have an additional grant with the Community Foundation for free soil testing as we speak right now. A lot of these areas get talked about through nonprofits or specialty groups, but then once the drive for that specialty group or that nonprofit sort of wanes, or there's not consistency as it would be with the government position, they kind of just wane away. So this position will be able to work with all those agencies in trying to provide one spot where we could partner and expand the ability to get to the local residents more. So the Soil and Water, or the Soil and Water Conservation Board at the state department, state level, is very supportive of this. And that was one of the reasons they gave us the grant, was with the intent of trying to do this. That has happened in at least 3 other counties in the state in the last 2 years that I know of. So the Soil and Water District, our funds are state level funds. We pay for our own cell phones, we pay our own mileage. We have our office space because we are partnered with the national federal office, and we don't usually ask for training money reimbursement. We do ask for some office supplies and things like that from the county. So it's, in my brain, a good investment.
Great. Thank you so much for that update. PAC members, any questions or comments for Ms. Miller?
Well, so, okay, and I know that I can't help but ask fiscal questions.
You're fine, go ahead.
Yes.
I mean, help me understand, is any of this proposed position covered by grants or state funding, or is this entirely coming out of the county general fund?
It would be coming out of the county general fund now. 3 years ago, when we brought it to the council to make you aware that we had the grant, we had discussed that possibility of splitting, but the Soil and Water Board has actually even paid all the additional taxes for the employment purposes the last 3 years, which has been pretty tough on $10,000.
So, okay, so the state has basically paid for this for 3 years.
Yes,
And now if we want to continue paying entirely out of general.
yes.
Okay. And obviously that makes me nervous, just because
Sure.
we've got 4 more positions that we're being asked to add tomorrow's council.
Yeah.
You know, that's not your fault.
No, I know. And I realize that it's tough, but we've never asked for a second position in over 35 years. When in reality, we could have had one or come 10, 15 years ago and asked for it, but we've just made it stretch through other options. But we've reached a place where it's just not possible. It's not feasible.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes.
Yes, we have a lot of full-time people on board being paid for with grants. And many of them will be like in the course and probations and so forth. And it's not unusual for them to start losing these grants and they're moving the dollars around. So then it will be up to the county council to determine just where we best use new position dollars, where we're required to do a position. And so that, to that end, that is the reason why I asked that our council office, either that or the auditor's office, present to us how many new positions or adjustments we've already made this year that actually is taking out of the new revenue for next year. And for those folks who'd like to see everybody in the county get a little bit of raise, we're taking it out of that dollar amount, out of that new growth amount. Now, that doesn't mean there's not cash there. And I know we're talking about fiscal issues, but it is not unusual that this council say, before we spend money at WIS, sending it off to WIS, we'd like to know, and take it to the full council, do you support these additional dollars out of county general budget to go for a new position? Is this the highest and best use for that position? And I even thought, oh, maybe they're gonna be moving it over to stormwater or whatever, not that making a difference, because we could also lose a lot of stormwater money. But I understand there was a problem with trying to get the board to accept whatever changes in the job description, so that it all came back right back to county general. So that is why I won't support sending it off to WIS at this time until the entire county council has had an opportunity to look at the full, financial impact. And as a reminder, this is all setting in county general in the county commissioner's office. So do you have something for Karen?
Yes, what I want to say is, we have added 6 correctional officers, but that was into the correctional lit. We have,
Didn't support it.
but we,
added it, but there wasn't enough money there.
but we have not added any new positions to general fund this year. What we have done is we've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different departments from 35 hours to 40 in general fund. And that would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 positions have been moved from 35 hours to 40 in general for this year. We have added a couple of health department new positions, but that all is coming out of the local public health kind of thing. So that's what we've done for this year with regards to new positions and or adding additional hours.
And while I agree, Councilmember McCann, this is not the fiscal body. But we also need to recognize that it costs money to send us out to WIS. And will the council, as a majority, knowing our financial position, have good information in front of us, will we suggest this as high as the best use? The other thing, years ago, when PAC first started, and we first started using it was like, if you determine that the different departments are asking for a new position, you get that information, but you don't do that until the budget for the next year, and see which of those positions you really could do, maybe you can't do any of them, and whatever. So before we start spending it money at all on, now I'm not talking about the health department, because that's a whole different fund, and it is required to have those pieces to get that extra health money we're getting from the state. But then I have real concern that we have obligations coming down the pipe that we can't walk away from. So, my 2 cents.
Mr. McKim.
Guys, what is the timeline for this position? So, I mean, there's a person who's essentially doing this work now, but does not have time to carry it.
Correct.
And then when will their current funding run?
December 31st, 2024.
Okay, we have a little bit of time.
Few months.
Sure, at the end of it.
We've been trying for 3 years to bring this to you guys.
Okay. I mean, I think what Council Hawk is, and again, I understand it's not your fault or your. I think that what she's requesting is reasonable in terms of, keeping a kind of a tally, a running report for the council on what we've essentially already added to next year's budget this year. By dollar too. I don't know if you have, the dollar impact.
No, but I can work on that, yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a reasonable request. And then we also did, besides the 35 to 40, didn't we do some reclassifications as well?
Yes, and that was one, that was a very major thing that happened with the assessor's office, because there were several classification changes. And we've also had classification changes in 1, 2, 3, 4 positions as well, that went from 35 to 40. Those also accompanied with classification changes, and some of them went from like a whole jump. And then with regards to the assessor's office, there was some that, not only just a classification change, it was a total classification from one classification to another. So, you know, so there's gonna be a significant, but I can get all that together
That
for
is.
the council
I
meeting.
like that idea.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like you do it at home. You got this much money in your pocketbook and you've already spent 3/4 of it, you can't spend another 3/4.
Now, that said, I probably was gonna support it going
Well,
with
right.
anyway, so that's okay.
Right.
But I understand.
Let's At least let the other council members weigh in on the fiscal impact of it. And then, you know, and maybe that since we've got the time, nobody's gonna be laid off in the meantime.
I might just add that if this position comes to an end in December, there will be significant things that will have to change in order. I just can't carry the workload. I just can't. It's impossible. I can't be in the office and administer grants and be out in the field helping folks with all these requests that we get. So, I mean, I'm just making, I'm not arguing the point, and I understand the fiscal responsibility. I'm just letting you guys know.
Well, I mean, one way to handle this is just to have have PAC basically punt it to the council tomorrow. I mean, we literally have a council meeting tomorrow. We could, the whole council could just take a vote on whether to send it to
You're in
us.
charge anyway.
I mean, I don't have a problem. I wouldn't know, that would delay you only on that one day.
I don't understand how any of this works, so I'm good with whatever you guys tell me.
Well, this is a very robust discussion on not only new positions, but also the nature of this work. I think we've gotten to the point where we've got a couple different ideas about how to move forward. I want to offer some thoughts of my own, just real quick here. We are going to be talking more and more about climate resiliency. And some of the items in this job description touch on those issues, and I am very interested in not duplicating services when it comes to grant writing, implementing grants, watershed management, and those sorts of things. Again, I understand that probably not in the bailiwick of this job description, but as we move forward, having a more concrete plan about how we're going to be tackling these issues that overlap into different departments is going to be really important. And I think we're getting a taste of that here. So those are my comments. I don't have any, you know, I'm obviously not going to add anything today, but that's going to be important to the future. Yes.
Right, and I would like to know if there's any further discussion or coming together on ideas about where the position could be funded, because we do have stormwater and how much of this. Now I understand that the board, not an elected board, but the board, didn't like some of the things that was put together. Well, maybe they'd learn to like it better if that's where the money was going to come from. I don't know. I wasn't in that meeting. I'm just saying that is a different pot of money.
And we've got till December to figure that out.
Right, so I'm just saying, let's look at the different options.
All right. Any other comments from PAC before we go to other people, other folks? All right. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. So sorry. I was in another meeting and saw Kim's phone call come in and I was like, "Oh, Kim's calling me." I was like, oh. So I just wanted to let you all know, there has been a lot of support from council members for these positions. I can tell you that Kate, Trent, Cheryl have been staunch supporters of this. And so I just want to put that out there. If you're thinking about taking it tomorrow, I think you're wasting your time because I think that you're gonna already have 4 or 5 people already saying yes. So,
Don't see that be wasting time of it's tomorrow. And if the council has a majority, would say, let's move forward with this.
and that's fine.
It would just happen tomorrow. Unless, then they'll all know they could weigh in on what fund even it might come from. Or maybe that won't work either, whatever. It's just a suggestion. Let's work with full knowledge.
I think we've reached the point of redundancy.
Yeah, we don't care. Just
Is there a motion?
Move that this,
Go ahead.
move that this item be moved to the full council for consideration at tomorrow night's meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from PAC members, from the public?
Well, public, but I'm kind of more.
Your department head.
Well, a number of different things. Carmen Randolph, Monroe County Surveyor. I'm also a member of the Stormwater Board, which is all elected folks. It's a board of 4. It's the county commissioners and the county surveyor, which I served on. This has been lightly discussed, but not any way as far as talking about funding it out of the board. So I don't want to get ahead of that conversation. What I do want to say is I'm also appointed to the Plan Commission and the Drainage Board. I've worked with Martha on a number of different watershed 319 grants with layers of support and also being part of a lot of the steering committees. Also, we have a mini grant program with SWCD and the Stormwater Board where we fund that, which actually goes to our educational outreach. But one of the best things is the outcome of it because it starts to, well, there's a number of different programs, but the bigger one is teaching farmers other farming practices that are significantly beneficial for the environment of like a no-till or cover crop. I actually just went on a windshield survey with her and
Erica.
just a few weeks ago, and it took a while just to kind of get through the Bean Blossom watershed, just driving through, let alone like stopping and talking to people and educating them of other opportunities or of these grants. So I think the workload that's on SWCD right now is quite significant, and this position can really allow us to have a larger impact on the entire county. One thing I do say as a Stormwater Board member is how can we get more ratepayers involved? And this is an opportunity to continue to expand that educational outreach and assistance that will get more ratepayers involved outside of the bigger projects that we conduct under the Stormwater Board. That's my comment. Obviously, you can see I'm in support of this. I do not want to take away from the discussion that Marty was presenting. I think that is very important, and I totally understand the reasons behind all that. So thank you for letting me speak.
We have a motion, a second on the floor. We are in discussion on that motion.
Clarification, when I was speaking about the board that was not elected, I was not talking about the Stormwater Board.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about Martha's board.
Yeah.
That's,
They,
I
they,
didn't really
but they-
like the requirement, but I've been told.
they are elected by state.
But
They're,
they're not elected. They don't
they're not
run.
elected on the general ballot.
Yeah.
And there is discussion at the state level about changing that someday, but they are considered state elected officials.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, let's have the opportunity to determine which fund with full knowledge. Okay. anyway,
And
I just
that
want
is
to make sure.
exactly the
Sorry.
nature of the motion on the table with a second. Any further conversation about that motion? All right, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. See you tomorrow. All right.
See you tomorrow night.
Okay.
I probably won't be there.
So what do you want to do, maybe?
Get to express-
Nothing,
I'm
we'll
not
just
sure if I will or not.
let the entire council know that we're gonna be amending the agenda. So-
Okay.
I'll
Alright.
support you tomorrow. I thought they were reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't make.
Thank you.
I don't really have to be
We'll
there
figure
tomorrow
out.
night. We'll see.
Because then this makes a change.
All right. The next item on the agenda is our health department Do we have a representative or representatives from the health department? If not, this is gonna be a short meeting.
I guess.
If so,
I don't see anyone.
But we can continue the health department, items to the next
Hey,
meeting.
somebody buzzing to see.
We have-
I've been out there
we have a
trying to
motion
call
on the
them.
floor to
Yeah.
continue item 5. Is there a second? I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to continue item 5. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it 2-0 to an abstention. All right, we're gonna move on to number 6, approval of summary minutes as presented.
Move we approve summary minutes as presented.
Pass.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any other conversation? All right, all those in favor of approving the summary minutes for April 2nd, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it 2-0 to 1. An abstention.
Bobby
Before
Lou-
we adjourn, yes.
Bobby LaRue came in and he wanted to, I told him he could come to council and give an update of, he's looking at wanting to make some changes with regards to his department. And so he wanted to give you guys a pop in and give you a heads up of what he's thinking. So I told him if we had time, he's more than welcome to, talk to PAC. But I believe it will really need to go to the entire council, but kind of thing. So, Bobby.
You want to give us 5 minutes either?
I don't even need to take that long, I don't believe.
What's wrong?
Kirk and I have looked over the last several months about the number of hours that folks are spending in the department. We have most people in the department are there for more than 35 hours a week. So what we'd like to talk to the council about is potentially moving the supervisory positions in the department to 40-hour a week, and see if that can resolve some of, do the work to resolve kind of comp time and being there longer. And then I do have to say that I think long-term, likely our department needs to move to 40-hour a week. But we'd like to take an initial step and see if that can resolve some of this issue. So
Great.
is that a quick enough judgment, or summary, or I'm happy to answer questions or anything like that. Just again,
It's just how many positions and what are their current classifications?
the 4 that we're looking at right now are the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, and the 2 lead inspectors. I think it's a EXE 8, RA, Pat D, and 2 Pat Cs. It's the classifications.
Yes, Councilmember Hawk.
Not having looked at your budget lately, can you tell me, have you been paying overtime or just growing comp time or what is it?
We do not use overtime at all. We have.
Is there any
System within the parameters, right? So but we do not pay, we have not paid overtime to anybody. And that seems to,
Those are things, have those numbers ready for us. If we present to the entire council and you might send it out to everyone, like how much comp time you accumulated over a couple many months.
We usually do about a year's worth, so, when you're doing a comparison. So,
Right, I mean, so
It's a pretty handy.
depends on what happens with the interest rates. Some of the new houses are going up and of course as slow as the planning commission is, we may never spend that in the past.
so right now, about 74% of the days, people are working more than 7 hours a day.
Okay.
I don't think she heard that, so.
So right now, about 74% of the work days, we excluded days that people are using their benefit time to be out of the office, but 74% of the time that people are here working, they're going over 35 or at least over 7 hours a day.
Well, thank you for the preview and encourage you to continue to work with our amazing council staff.
Yeah.
They will get everything into packets for the public to read ahead of time. And that transparency is really important so that the public also know the valuable work that you're doing for the community.
We hope. So, just wanted to give you a 30-second, whatever, update, and then we'll talk to you about the reports.
Sounds good.
Thank you all for your time and let me surprise you this afternoon.
This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you next month.
All right, thank you. That was short.
We're still live.